The moment you discover that the job exists is a really important thing. I didn't know there were copywriters. When I discovered that they were, I realised that I was one. Sean Doyle is the best copywriter in the world, I think. And Sean isn't really interested in anything other than using words in a concise way. So Sean loves books of quotations and knows them, in a savant way. And I think what he got from that was like the rhythm of how you write. So his favourite line, I think, is the quote about Ginger Rogers, which is, Ginger Rogers did everything Fred Astaire did except backwards and in high heels. And what that sentence does, it takes you so much longer to explain what it is than the phrase does. It says, man, it was so much harder for her. Fred Astaire's famous, but he was facing forwards and he had flat shoes on. It's a really powerful way of making you think about her story and all the things that the credit that women didn't get, and a whole bunch of things going on there. But yeah, so the concise answer to your question is that you, almost the most important thing about deciding what to do is to discover what that is and then to learn all you can about it. So I made that strange leap from unemployment to employment quite quickly, actually. I did the D&AD night classes, which in those days there were 6 in a row, and you went around lots of different agencies. And I was pretty rubbish in all of them, apart from the last one. I went to an old agency, which is Delaney Fletcher Delaney, and I did okay. I did a few things, and some little part of me thought that I just hung around at the end, and I went up to Barry Delaney, who was running the class, and I just said to him, "Can I come in?" And I don't know where I got that courage from. It's when you're young, I think you don't know what you can do. And I just sort of focused on Barry after that, and I sent him work. And when I left college on the first day, I just went round there and sat in the agency and tried to make myself indispensable. So I suppose I did an internship, and I got hired as a copywriter. I don't think the world's changed that much. I'd say one thing about applying your creativity to the brief of getting a job. So a lot of young creatives are very good at solving a client brief, a brand brief. So they've got a portfolio and they put all of their energy into that. And then they all do the same thing. They send out an email a couple of weeks before they leave, and you enter a kind of blur of young kids. But the people who find a different way of attracting my attention, they come with a book that's all TV in an age where you're not supposed to do that, or they understand that there's 2 barriers, right? So there's your PA, the creative director's PA, whose job is, they're often really lovely people, but their job is to try and make space for that person and get them home on time. So they don't really want to put you in the diary if they can avoid it. How do you get around that? Always be incredibly polite, suck up like anything to the PA, because they're very important people and they're usually very smart human beings who are making a judgment about whether this person is an idiot or not. So be very careful around the PAs and be very respectful. But also, I would say, find a way of attracting attention. Find a way of making yourself different from everyone else in the same way that you would for a brand. People forget to advertise themselves. If you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. I just think that's such a potent thing. And I like it as a piece of writing. It's so clipped, isn't it? It makes you think, what do you mean? So if you think you can't do it, you're completely right. You will prove yourself right. And if you think you can, then you will prove yourself right. So I am from Leicester, and my parents were poor, and I came to London with nothing. I bought 2 cups because I thought I might have a friend. So I came to London with 2 cups. But I ended up the executive creative director of the biggest agency in town, and I took the job of my hero, and I was the president of D&AD, and I'm the professor of advertising at the college I went to. And I don't think I'm particularly good. I don't think I'm particularly talented. I'm not nearly as good as Walt Campbell or Sean Doyle, all these people I work with. Okay, so I've got one more tip for you, which is get toxoplasmosis if you can. So what it is it's a parasite, and it lives in snails and rats sometimes, but we'll do snails because that's a good gag. So it lives in snails, and the snails get eaten by birds, and the birds shit out the snails, and then the other snails eat them, and that's how it goes on its little chain. But the interesting thing that happens is down here in snail world, is the only thing it does to the snail, the parasite, is it makes them reckless. a little bit reckless. So they're more likely to crawl on the top side of the branch rather than the underside where they're hidden from the birds. And that makes it easier for the birds to get them. Now, God's pretty clever. I don't know how he worked that out. That's pretty weird. But humans can get toxoplasmosis as well. They generally get it from watercress. French have all got it. And it does absolutely nothing to you, apart from it makes you a bit more reckless. So you're more likely to be in a minor driving accident. And I've never had myself checked out. I'm pretty sure I've got it, because I occasionally do reckless things or slightly braver, but I behave slightly braver than I feel that I actually am. So when I was a kid and I wanted to work at Abbott Mead, I found out where David Abbott lived. I met the boyfriend of his daughter. This ghastly story, I don't know why I'm saying this out loud. Found out where he lived. At the time there was a famous Volvo ad of a student who's hitchhiking, and it says Cambridge Volvo preferred. So that's his sign, and the copy is all about how he wants to drive in a safe car and blah, 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 blah. So I went at 5 a.m. in the morning because I didn't know what time we went to work, and I stood outside David Abbott's house with a sign that said AMV Volvo preferred. And he got into his Mercedes and he drove straight past me. So I did a bit more research and found out that he had a Mercedes, a Volvo, and a Bristol Beaufighter at the time. So I went with all three. The thing is, I went back, right? He drove straight past me and I didn't go, oh my God, what an idiot, stupid idea. I went back the next morning with 3 signs, and I also found out he was slightly short-sighted. So I stood in the road, so it was death or glory, and I got the right sign. It said Abbott Vickers Mercedes preferred. And that was a dumb thing to do. Not least because my portfolio wasn't very good at the time. But I ended up working there. I ended up, part of the management team, and lots of good things happened to me. And I think there is a moment of reckless bravery in that stupid story. Okay, so if you want to live in a free society, you need full employment. And if you want full employment, you've got to have mass selling. And if you want mass selling, you need us. So when we do our jobs well, we empty shelves, and when we do it brilliantly, we build factories. So the people dependent on me are the clients and all the people that work for them, and all the people who work in the manufacturing process, and all of their families and their kids and their education and the place that they live. So I would say we were more important than doctors. It's not generally credited. It's very easy to say that advertising is a thing that tricks people into doing stuff they don't want to. But I think that our business is about full employment. That's the goal. So if you're thinking about getting in, don't let anybody tell you that you're going into an odd business. I don't believe that. I feel very proud of what I've been able to do in my small way to help companies grow and keep people in work, both in the companies that I've run and the companies that have been our clients. So don't be a banker, be an ad man or woman or transvestite. We want everybody.